Welcome back to Nordic Arms and History. In today's video, we're taking a look at a really rare piece of Krag bayonet accessory. Now, this being the Krag Portepee. I've actually been able to borrow one from a viewer, so thank you very much. We'll be taking a look at this deep and really nice and close, get some really good shots of this. We're also going to be talking a little bit about the history and use, as we don't know as much. We know who used them, but other than that, there's not much information around it. I do have a couple pictures, and of course, the variants. There are a couple that we know of, so we'll be talking about that as well. Let's take a look. Here we can see the portepee that I've been able to borrow. I'm not exactly sure if I'm using the right pronunciation, but we'll be using portepee for now, so if it's wrong, feel free to comment them down below what I'm saying wrong. So, as you can see here, this is of course a traditional Krag Portepee. Now, this example is in fact missing one piece, and that would be a leather strap that goes along around over here. And I can show you a picture of that right here. And the construction of it, other than that band that is missing, is quite simple. You have a red wool tassel, as you can see here, and it has a stitching design like so, and you have of course another blue here, using the Norwegian national colors of red, white, and blue. And it is connected via I'm not exactly sure how it's connected in here, but as you can see, it thins down here and it goes into the tassel itself. After that, it is just a simple leather loop. However, it does have a slight texture to it, as you can see here. And just going along, and of course there is supposed to be the ribbon or the band. And then on top here, there is a ring. We're not exactly sure if this is the right way this was mounted. We do know it's at the right place though. That is the reason why the Krag bayonet, all of them have this hole here, and that is for the portepee. And the ring, of course, on this one looks just to be some sort of key ring. I'm not exactly sure if this is what was supposed to be. We're not exactly sure, but some sort of bracket going from the portepee to the Krag hole here would actually be viable. So this might have been put on later on. We're not exactly sure. That's just because there's so little of them left. There's so few examples of these today, so we really are not sure. When it comes to the historical use of the portepee, we know a couple of things. We know that these were used by both corporals in the Norwegian army, as well as some of the king's guard. We also know that the portepee has been mentioned in the descriptions of bayonets, but have never really been fully formalized in any regulations of sorts. We also know that at times, even corporals in other units, so not corporals in the King's Guard, was actually caught using these. They wasn't really regulated, and we don't know really why this was done, but we've seen pictures of them with said portepee. I also have another example, as you can see here, where the actual tassel itself is a little bit smaller, as I'll be showing here. And it does show that there is a little bit of difference between all the models. And here we can see a picture of a Norwegian soldier with a portepee, and you can actually see he has some German prisoners during the April days of 1940. And if you squint, you can actually see that this man has a portepee attached to his bayonet. And this portepee specifically has also been used in some reenactment events, as I'll be showing you a picture of here. A really cool photograph of them in use, of course, in reenactment. Really cool that this still gets to have some life and not just end up on a shelf. Really cool. The Krag Portepee continued for a long time in the Norwegian King's Guard. Even after the war, they continued to use these, even on the Krag bayonets, but when they went over to the M1 Garand, they also did that. You also have it when it was switched over to the AG3, or the Norwegian G3 clone. However, recently it has actually declined in use, and that is because the Norwegian service weapon of the time now, which is the HK416, doesn't have, the bayonet for the HK416 doesn't actually have a mounting system like the other bayonets. So sadly, this sort of tradition has kind of fallen down in popularity, and I would love to see it come back. So I hope that happens one day. I love these. They're really beautiful, and it's a really nice ornate way to symbolize your rank and your unit. So a really cool piece of Norwegian history. As I mentioned, today there are very few examples that still survive. Since these are of course a textile and leather item, these wear out a lot. And finding examples today is really hard, and finding them in even better or good condition is extremely rare. Now, as you can see, this one is of course a little bit worn, but just that it exists is extremely rare in my opinion. And it's really cool to be able to actually have one on camera here to show everyone. All in all, the Krag Portepee and Portepee in general is a small but meaningful detail in Norwegian military tradition. The portepee represents continuity between the 19th century uniforms and modern ceremonial traditions. It's really just a link to the pre-war era, and it's a really sad thing that we're not seeing it anymore today. And it really just shows that even just small items like this can really show a lot about the Norwegian military tradition, and I'm extremely happy that I've been able to borrow it for this video. Alright everyone, I hope you enjoyed this video. For me as well, I loved making this. This was a really rare piece of Krag history that we've been able to show online and talk a little bit about. And of course, I'm going to probably see if I can get one in my collection as well one day, but you never know. These are extremely rare items, of course. I've not really seen any for sale, and if so, they're probably in like collector-to-collector markets. So I'll be at least keeping my eye out for one of these. If you have one and you're willing to sell, feel free to comment me or send me an email. So if this video deserves it, leave it a like, of course. And if you learned something new or this is something you haven't seen before, leave it a like. Also, if you have any questions, feel free to comment them down below. And as usual, if you want to learn more about Nordic arms and history, consider subscribing. Until the next one, take care. Bye-bye.